Well, for me, once I get to um, custom firearms, then I'll know how it's set up because it's weird because I got to fill out something tomorrow, and it's from Duval Motor Company, and then he has business card says Dana Safety Supplies. So I'm kind of figuring out who. And he said to me when he had the interview, if you come up with something, we'll run the numbers, and we'll let you run with it. So I just got to see where
the biggest thing in the gun industry is guns don't make you money.
they never do. I know that,
and they never will. So you got to figure something out that will make you money on top of selling guns. So for me, in the beginning, I always thought having a gun range because I really don't have to do much other than maintenance stuff and making sure somebody doesn't kill themselves is my number one priority. So that's where my income would be. Right now, property is really expensive, so it's not really worth it. So I'm trying to figure out another way to make money while selling firearms, and that is manufacturing. Manufacturing, and with the contacts I know, we could, because the definition has changed under the ATF for a gunsmith. If I were, say, you bought an upper receiver and a lower receiver, and you wanted me to slap that together, right? That counts as manufacturing now. As dumb as that sounds, because it's two pins and they're not together, if I slap them together under a business, it's manufacturing. So
well, the one thing I do got to get with you once I get more finances is got to get that bolt.
yeah,
What do you do with the old bolt? You don't just throw it away, do you?
Probably sell it for parts.
you could part it out. Yeah, you could part it out, sell it back to a company.
Can't you just recycle it?
You can do whatever. Just make sure you take the firing pin out. That's what makes the whole gun go bang.
No, I wouldn't know. Well, I would give it to you and say, hey, do what you got to do with it, or if you're not, I'll take the firing pin away, throw it away, and just recycle it.
So there's two big machines that I want, Joe, if you're ever down for this. Lathe, CNC.
Okay.
Those are my two primary machines that'll be running. And
you get a laser etch?
We can do laser, but
sit up straight. Let me see if I can get you on the camera right. And then I gotta put some nice light on you. And
okay.
Then start up your live stream.
Yeah, I'm getting there.
It's a lot of money. Can we make that 20 grand combined into more money?
Oh, that looked gorgeous.
Okay, like
I don't want to do upfront, like a lot of upfront money, but can we maybe double it?
how?
Go to the Indian Rock Casino?
We'll do that.
No.
On a strip club?
We could start a strip club.
No, I'm going to run an Asian massage parlor out the back door.
Yeah, that's right.
It's where they make their most money. They just a lot of trade secrets.
There's one of the girls at work. She's the owner's wife. She's big into human trafficking, or at least against it. So I kind of asked her, why is it so strip club so prevalent here? And he goes, well, because sports complexes and sports teams. I go, well, yeah, but that.
One second. We're live. So we're streaming.
Oh,
we're not recording, so I just want you to make sure.
Okay, well, we'll talk about it. We'll talk about that another day. You friggin' communist.
I don't know. I don't want you to say something.
You might regret later down the road.
I don't know. It might actually, whatever you say might just blow
No,
us
all
up,
I was saying is.
Are you live on TikTok yet?
No.
Hold on.
I just want to make sure we got a minute or two gap. I don't want to be like 5-10 minutes later.
No, we're gonna be like 2 minutes.
Okay.
Test. I'm good. Ray, get on your mic. Johnny, wait.
Testing.
Do it again.
Testing. 1, 2, 3. Testing 1, 2, 3.
Okay.
Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing 1, 2, 3.
Oh wait. Turn it on. I think it's
I
on.
got turn mine on.
Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing 1, 2, 3.
Test.
Testing 1, 2, 3.
Testing 1, 2, 3.
Okay, I think we're good.
Do you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you fine. Can you hear me?
I don't hear that like
What?
I had before.
What?
It's not in your ear.
Yeah.
It's not in the master gun's ear.
Testing, 1, 2, 3.
I got you.
You're not hearing. What do you mean you're not hearing me?
I don't hear that. There's a sound I would hear in the thing. I hear you because you're 2 feet from me,
Can you hear me now?
not in my headset.
Okay.
Damn, you took mine out. Oh, there we go.
That was yours?
No, I'm good now.
Testing. Look,
Oh.
How's that?
testing, 1, 2, 3. I feel like I'm not hearing anything in the headset.
Try now.
Testing, 1, 2, 3.
Here, give me your...
You're now loud in my headset.
Test.
Oh, man.
What?
It was loud as hell.
Hold on.
Firearms is where it's at. Shop is good.
Can you hear on your headphones? Test. You're good.
I'm good.
I don't know. Can I? No, I can't hear in my headphones.
Try now.
How about now? Yeah, I hear it.
A little lower for me. Hold on. Is this mine?
Yeah.
Testing, 1, 2, 3. Testing, 1, 2, 3. Testing, 1, 2. There it goes. There it goes.
Test.
That's fine.
Test.
That's fine. Okay, let me turn this around so they can see my beautiful mug. Okay, are we ready? I'm going to go live right now. So how far along are we going to be live officially?
On TikTok?
Yeah.
Once I register you on the live,
How long does that take?
I don't know, 30 seconds, 45 seconds.
Okay, I'm going to go live right now.
Go live. Going live right now.
We're going live. Hey everybody, this is John Ubaldi with Ubaldi Reports. We're the one website that deals with fact, not fiction, on issues facing America, whether domestically or internationally. We're getting ready to go live officially. We're just trying to get started. We're just checking in, doing a few little tweaks, and away we go. But there's a lot to talk about. We can talk about international stuff with the war in Ukraine and some other issues. But the big thing we're going to be probably focusing on is President Biden's poll numbers. Last week, Quinnipiac showcased that he only has about 33% among most Americans, and he cratered among independents, Hispanics, and especially the youth vote from 18 to 31. So that's probably where we're going to focus on, and then we'll talk about some of these other issues that are driving down those numbers.
All right. So when you do talk, look at the phone you're doing it.
Okay.
Because it just kind of all you're getting is that top of your head.
Okay.
And it looks like
Okay, so
you're
we're ready to go?
Yeah. All right. Ready? 3, 2.
Hey everybody, this is John with Ubaldi Reports, the one website that provides fact, not fiction, on national and international issues. And there's a lot to talk about. With me is my fellow co-host, Big Bad Joe Bitts, who's a retired combat Marine from Iraq, who was actually wounded in Iraq. And then we also have another veteran, a gentleman named Ray, who is also a big gun enthusiast and gunsmith. So he knows all about the laws of firearms, and we'll probably dabble into that because some things came up in the news when it comes to gun issues. So how's it going, Joe?
Great, John. How are you?
I'm doing well. So how was your day today?
Very relaxing. As you can see, I cleaned up the studio a little bit.
Yeah, he did do that, and I spent most of the day at work, and my last day is at the restaurant. It's going to be on Saturday. I got another position, and then hopefully that'll give me more time to do more research and also do more things with TikTok.
Well,
and
not necessarily where you work, like the actual name of the place, until they start actually paying us some money, but what are you going to be doing?
I'm going to be a retail associate working at a gun store.
Yeah, like where all Marines should be, isn't
Nice.
that right?
Yeah, so I will be selling firearms. I mean, it's not their primary focus. Their main focus is to provide equipment into the vehicles of law enforcement and the tactical supplies of whatever law enforcement, sheriff, state, law enforcement agencies need. So
Yeah.
it'll be kind of interesting. It'll be more of a professional job than I'm working at a restaurant, but then it's Monday through Friday. I'll have the weekends off, and then I can spend most of my time on the weekends doing more research, writing, and doing more things to impact Ubaldi reports.
So prior to talking to and going on, you mentioned something that it's like, say, if you had 60 hours at this new job, and you had $60 hours in your current job, and you were making the same amount, which one would you rather be doing?
The one that the job I'm going to be going to.
And you kind of mentioned that because you have a few other employees around the same time that are going to be moving on similar in your situation. But why is that?
Well, because they're working a lot of hours. I mean, I average between 50, 55 hours a week.
Yeah.
They were working more hours because they work the night shift and they
Mhm.
work more hours. So when the store shuts down at 10, you don't just go home at 10:30. You got to clean up the store. You got to shut all the equipment. You got to clean behind the equipment and think about all the oil that is used in a restaurant, especially in a fast food restaurant. So you work your butt off. Now you do get overtime over, I think it's 40 hours. I think that's the typical thing. So I do get overtime, but you really work, and you're on your feet all day. And it wears on your body. After a while, you just don't want to. You get your only day off is Sunday when they shut the store down, but you don't want to just spend your day off working.
Yeah.
Sleeping. So during the week, it's hard to get anything done when you need to get things done because they usually give you a day off, but sometimes you don't get a day off. You work 6 straight days.
Yeah.
So it's just. It got me going. They hired me when no one else would hire me because they saw that my experience, my education, and then my background, everybody says you're just way overqualified. So, but going into this other job, it's more of a professional job. I'll be meeting more people in a professional level. I'm not kind of diss the current job that I'm coming from, but it's just a different venue. And then I can spend, with weekends off, I can spend more time doing my research, and I can start writing more, which I used to do, and it's been kind of hit or miss because I'm just exhausted by the time I do some of that stuff.
Yeah. So, but even for this job here, you got almost the same spiel as you did with your current job right now. Is that you're overqualified?
Yeah, it's just the nature of the beast. They see my age, they see my military background, my education, and my experience. You're overqualified, but I'll do whatever I have to do to get what I need to do. And my whole focus, as you know, Joe, is to get Ubaldi reports off the ground. I would like to do it as an internet radio program, and much like maybe different in some respects on their content, like a Joe Rogan or some others. But I just want to provide, and have always wanted to provide, fact, not fiction, as it comes to domestic and international issues. And many people come up to me because they know I like politics. They know I understand the government and how it functions. And I would just like to explain things in not a simplistic manner, but just explain things, what is going on, so most Americans can make an informed decision, whether they agree with me or whether they don't agree with me. But I just give them the facts, and they make their own decision of what direction they want to go.
So, like Joe Rogan gets like 100 million. We just want like 100,000.
Yeah, he got a.
We want like 0.1%.
Well, yeah, but he got a $200 million some type of contract with Spotify.
Yeah.
to have his
Come
show
on,
on
Spotify.
Yeah,
Check
no,
us out.
I'm not expecting 100 million, but if I can get like
It's 100,000 a year.
50 million.
100,000 a year will set us right.
yeah, and then we can expand this program. And what I want to do is bring guests in from across the country. Like I emailed, and I know Joe's gonna slap me around for this.
Ooh, is it Jonathan Turley
Jonathan Turley, the constitutional scholar,
or Victor David Hansen?
Victor Davis Hansen. But I even emailed Lieutenant General H.R. McMaster's, who was Trump's national security advisor. At one point, when he was at the Hoover Institute, I even emailed General Mattis, who was Trump's Secretary of Defense.
Now that there's a video element here, I need to have like a whiteboard
Yeah, but
with those names on it, and every time you say those names, I go like.
But what I also want to do is bring in other experts or other analysts who come on who we can discuss things about economics when there's an issue regarding the law. Like right now, a big issue in the day, or right now that's being formulated, is Elon Musk trying to buy Twitter. It would be nice to have someone who has an expert in business law to discuss what does it mean when you go to the shareholders, between the shareholders and the board. How does that work?
Now, speaking of which, isn't the DOJ kind of getting involved in that right now too?
I haven't heard so much the DOJ's getting involved, but eventually, if Elon Musk buys Twitter, he has to get approval, I think, from the SEC.
Okay, I think, and is that going to be a problem since he already had a current situation going on with the SEC?
We'll have to see. They just want to see that it's fair and equitable, but we'll have to see how that goes. But this is where bringing on an expert in the field we can ask that question: how does that work if you buy a corporation?
Yeah.
Like Elon Musk comes in and buys Twitter. What does it mean and I've heard this from, obviously Jonathan Turley when he mentioned the shareholders, their job is to maximize profit for whatever investment they have. But Twitter, through their board, has alienated half the country because they seem to stifle free speech when it comes to anything that they disagree with or any conservative thought. So how does that work when the board acts one way and it goes against the shareholders who want to maximize profit to expand the financial reach or the financial payout of a Twitter?
So there's kind of like a correlation that I saw, which is with they call it the poison pill. Like they were talking about Twitter board was talking about exercising the poison pill, which means I guess they would double their stocks and then it would just make the value of it less, which would make the shareholders own less of the stock, but giving them a discount. But beyond that, I've kind of noticed something similar. Is this administration, or are they kind of using that poison pill option where they're looking? It looks like they're trying to devalue America from where we are, and like the media seems to be like a real big epicenter of that, of taking America down a couple notches.
Well, what the administration is doing is if you remember during the campaign, he campaigned as a moderate, that he was Steady Joe. He was the moderate. But then when he gets into office, he's governing as a progressive. So what he's doing is he's adhering to that progressive ideology. And this factors in to what I said at the start of the program before we went live, is Quinnipiac had a poll, and they're a reputable pollster. And for the past 2 months, 2 months ago, they said that Joe Biden was in the 30% range of support. But they base it off trends, and each month it's been about the same. And then just last week, Quinnipiac came out with its poll and showed that only 33% of the American public support his administration. And he's cratered among independents. They're at 29%, and then Hispanics have 26% support, with the youth population, which is 18 to 35, at I think about 21%. But a lot of people are seeing, by pushing that progressive ideology, we're seeing record inflation. Inflation's running at 8.5% because, as we discussed on the last podcast, last week the consumer price index came out with inflation running at 8.5%. Then the producer price index went to a record high. largest increase since 1982 at 11.2, and this is all the items that go into making a product.
Mm-hmm.
So people, as we discussed on the phone today when I was at a break from work,
Yeah.
and remember what I said is you go to the grocery store, you pay a higher food price. And every time you drive your vehicle, everybody passes a gas station. And at some point, I consistently look at the gas prices now.
Well, I almost filled up my tank under $90 today.
Yeah, so, but think about this. Every time you drive, when I go to the gym every morning, I pass a couple gas stations. And every time I'm looking, and like yesterday, the price was one way, and then all of a sudden you come back, it's 20 cents higher.
Mm-hmm.
And this plays a factor. Like the current job I have at the restaurant, they're paying higher labor costs, higher fuel costs, energy costs, utilities than they were a year ago. Their food costs are much higher, and then all their supplies, all their paper products, all their goods and services that go into making that product are substantially higher. We can't get the products that we need, and before I came over here, there was a big segment on the news about the supply chain and some of the challenges going into that. And you have what's going on in China and their lockdown because of coronavirus. And you have so many issues going on. And this is why Joe Biden's poll numbers are cratering, because he doesn't seem to have an answer except we need to spend more money and tax more. Now, Fred Smith, the CEO of Federal Express, he even stated that had they passed their Build Back Better agenda, that would have sent inflation. Inflation would have been over 20%.
Yeah, well, I think we were also talking about how they're kind of they're trying to trigger a recession versus let it happen naturally.
Well,
is that almost like inducing a coma versus letting the person go into a coma kind of thing? Is it better if we have a control going into a recession?
Well, it's not like President Biden is trying to. No president wants to induce a recession, but what he's doing is what he's trying to do is fix inflation. But everything he's doing is making it worse.
Yeah.
Because the whole point of inflation is too much money chasing fewer goods, and what he's done is he's stimulating the demand side and not fixing the supply side.
So we do have somebody on Twitter. It's user lots of numbers. I hope he knows who we're talking about. But he's saying, how do we get rid of them? And I'm pretty sure he means Biden. So what is your opinion when it comes to that? How do we get rid of Joe Biden if we had an option like that?
Well, right now there's no way to get rid of him beyond impeachment.
And you don't need that. We can't get that until we have a House.
Well, but even if you had the House and the Senate, you need a 2/3 majority out of the House and in the Senate to impeach the president. You really need a high bar. And the Republicans, they're going to gain seats in the Senate and in the House. But
not enough.
Not enough. But you can't impeach. Well, you can. But the impeachment, unlike what the Democrats did with Donald Trump, impeachment is for high crimes and misdemeanor. And Alexander Hamilton wrote when he wrote the Federalist Papers. This is for some of our listeners, not to downgrade everybody's intelligence, but the Federalist Papers were written by James Madison, Alexander Hamilton. This was trying to sell the U.S. Constitution. So when Alexander Hamilton wrote the bulk of the Federalist Papers, but on this aspect, when it came to impeachment had to be a high bar to reach.
I think you just stop for a second, John. I'm sorry. I forgot to hit record.
Really?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I got wrapped up in so the streaming got a lot. I don't know if we can replay the streaming.
We'll just keep it going from here.
But let's just hit. I hit record. So 3, 2, 1. Just start it all over again. But we'll kind of just carry over. Maybe I'll get Jimmy to salvage some of this.
Yeah. So we had a technical difficulty, so we're going to.
Well, a lot of people on Twitch got a good show.
Okay, so we got a good switch. So anyway,
wait, hold on. 3, 2, 1.
This is John at Ubaldi Reports, the one that provides fact, not fiction, on global and national issues as it faces America. And where we left off was just we're trying to see how you can get rid of the President Biden, because he's not governing the country the way it should be governed. We're having high inflation, a lot of issues facing the country. But like I was telling Joe, you can impeach a president, but that has to be high crimes and misdemeanor. Now, Alexander Hamilton wrote in the Federalist Papers, and just to let some listeners who may not be familiar with the Federalist Papers, it was written by John Jay, James Madison, and Alexander Hamilton to sell the Constitution to the American people.
Oh, real quick, Mad Marine said hi.
Okay, well, hi to Mad Marine. But what Alexander Hamilton said, to impeach a president, it had to be a high bar, high crimes and misdemeanor, but they wanted it to be, you needed to get rid of this person now. You couldn't wait to an election.
Yeah.
Now, what the Democrats did with Donald Trump is both his impeachments didn't meet that bar, especially the second one. He was already out of office, so it was an immaterial act. What they were trying to do in the second impeachment is to get him impeached so he wouldn't be able to run again.
Yeah.
The first impeachment was just, it did not meet that high bar. Many constitutional scholars, including Alan Dershowitz, who was the lead lawyer for the Trump team, and he was a liberal, still is a liberal, but he felt you did not meet that high crimes and misdemeanor. Jonathan Turley was the same way, and many others felt that way. The other way is through the electoral process. Now, the president's not up for re-election until 2024, but what you can do is in 2022, you can stymie his administration by, by voting, and if the Republicans take the House and take the Senate, that means they can push their agenda. Now, whether President Biden signs it or not, this could be a replication of what happened in 1994. Bill Clinton won election in 92, assumed the presidency in 93, and he governed as a very liberal president. When he got rebuked by the voting population in 94, the Republicans took the House and took the Senate. Well, unlike what Barack Obama did in 2014 when he lost the House in 2010, and then he lost the Senate in 2014, instead of triangulating to the center, he just doubled down on being more progressive. Bill Clinton did the opposite. He triangulated to the center, co-opted a lot of Republican issues like welfare reform, the crime, and other issues, and the Republicans and Democrats primarily worked together instead of having an antagonistic. So if the Republicans take the Senate and the House, Mitch McConnell said, we will force Joe Biden to be a moderate. And, well, that's about the only way you can do this, so we'll have to see from there.
So pretty much Congress will just stalemate him?
They'll stalemate him, and they can maybe override it with other Democrats supporting that. We'll have to see how that goes. But I still think if the Republicans take the House and take the Senate in November, I believe there's going to be a civil war among the Democrats. Because unlike the Republicans have a freedom caucus. These are very staunch conservative. They believe in less taxes, strong national defense, less government. Most of the Republicans believe in that. It's just going about how they go about it. In the Democratic Party, you have your progressive, very socialistic wing. They believe in something totally different than what the moderate Democrats believe in. They're anti-American. They believe they're anti-capitalism, anti-free market. They believe in a much expansive government bureaucracy into all phases of our life. Heavy taxes, heavy regulation, control of everything. And the big thing that's they're focusing on now, at least for the Republicans, and this was what got Glenn Youngkin the win in Virginia, is education. People are tired of their children being taught issues about gender identity. Now, New Jersey is pushing gender identity, sexual orientation, starting in second grade. Many parents are revolting against that. So these are some of the things that the president's gonna have to deal with, and this is what's galvanizing both parties to go against his agenda.
Now, we were also talking about, you got a couple of hits on TikTok about over this, was the poll numbers. You mentioned about the president's poll numbers, how they're utterly tanking, and, why.
Well, a lot of the reasons why that was from Quinnipiac. The last couple of months, they've been showing he's been in the 30% range. And then they came out within 3 months in a row. It showed, this is not just it's now a trend, that he's at 33% approval rating.
Yeah.
And a lot of it has to do with inflation. And I talked about this on a radio show I was on this morning. People are concerned what's going on in Ukraine. They really are. But in the next sentence, it's gas prices are going up. Food prices are going up. So when you drive your car, like I said, every time I go to the gym in the morning before I go to work, I pass 3 or 4 gas stations, and you see the price of gasoline going up. Every time you go to the grocery store, food prices are up, and rent, utilities, used car, new car, everything you buy is gone up. I work at a restaurant, at least for the next couple days, and we face higher labor costs, higher food costs, higher material costs with all the paper products we use. Our utility costs have gone up. We pay a surcharge on all our vendors coming in for their fuel costs. So everything is going up, and it's probably going to get worse, not better. Now, Fred Smith, he's the CEO of Federal Express. He said that had the president passed his Build Back Better agenda, inflation would be almost double what it is now, because you're sending more money into the economy, but they're still chasing too few goods.
Yeah.
And that's a classic example of inflation. Even the former Larry Summers, the Treasury Secretary for Bill Clinton and the senior economic advisor for Barack Obama, stated last year before they passed the American Rescue Plan. Yeah, I agree with spending on getting more of the vaccine out and fixing the supply chain, but spending $2 trillion is the wrong approach, and you're only going to see inflation. And now President Biden wants to blame corporate America. He wants to blame the coronavirus, and now the adage he's blaming Vladimir Putin. But inflation was rising, and the statistics show it. Ever since they passed the American Rescue Plan, inflation has gone up percentage points, and you see it 2%, 3, 4, 5, and ever since about October, it's gone from like 6% to 7% to 8%, and we'll have to see where it's at when they come out for April's.
What's the highest it's ever been? Like
throughout history, I would have to go back, but the latest, when it was under Jimmy Carter, inflation got up to as high as 13, 14%.
Wow.
And interest rates were at 21%. Now, many economists have stated that the only way to break the back of inflation, you have to raise interest rates above what inflation is. So if inflation is 8.5%, that means you need interest rates to be 9 and 10%.
So someone needs to tell Ray that he's not buying a house anytime soon.
Well,
I knew that, getting an apartment.
well, okay, but even that, interest rates for a home have gone up to 5%. So when interest rates start to go up, you start to diminish how many people can buy homes, and then how many businesses can get loans. So what they do is they don't invest back into their company. They don't make the needed capital improvements. They just stay put, and that hits a recession. Like when Paul Volcker, who was the the Federal Reserve Chair, he was appointed by President Jimmy Carter about 1979, and he did what needed to be done. He tightened the money supply, raised interest rates substantially. It shut inflation down, but what it also did is send us America into a deep recession in 81, 82. But it wasn't for the tax cut, the deregulation, and other business-friendly approaches by President Reagan, and we stormed right out of it.
Yeah.
Because in 1984, the GDP went up about 7%.
So is that going to be the play maybe coming into 2024, like once this administration is out, and then a new administration comes in, they kind of just like kind of cut a bunch of regulations like Trump did, and just kind of build it right back up?
Well, we'll have to see who is the Republican nominee. I mean,
Probably DeSantis.
it could be Governor DeSantis of Florida, it could be Donald Trump, or it could be somebody else. But they need to bring back a pro-business approach and some of the regulation that Joe Biden done. Get the Federal Reserve to focus more on the monetary policy and not get into this woke policy, because many of the appointees to the Federal Reserve, the SEC, and other financial institutions have a progressive climate agenda that you must adhere to climate, like an example, they want the energy companies to see how climate change factors in not just what you do, but all the way down the product to the consumer itself. And it's just putting these prohibitive rules and regulations on. They don't really need to be there.
Is this current administration kind of like maybe disciplining America for electing someone like Donald Trump to come into office?
Well, this is what I tell people. When Donald Trump ran for president in 2016, people need to realize the people that voted for him don't like him. And what I mean by that is they don't like his rhetoric. They don't like his bombastic. They don't like his always got to attack mode. But what they were tired of is both Republicans and Democratic administrations did everything they could to hollow out manufacturing and ship those jobs either to Mexico, but mainly ship those jobs to China. The two industries that really made out were the financial institutions or financial sector and the technology sector. They shipped all these jobs to China. Like when President Biden first came into office, the first official act was to end the Keystone XL pipeline. And what that did is it ended energy sector jobs. This is blue collar, high paying, high wage jobs. But they didn't, and the ones that benefited are the tech companies and the financial sector. And this is why people voted for Donald Trump. He was like, I'm tired of my job going over, but you're benefiting. And they just see this, on both parties were akin to this. They see them benefiting at the expense of them.
And then Biden just got elected because he's not Donald Trump?
Well, Joe Biden got elected because he's not, and I said this on the radio program this morning, he wasn't Bernie Sanders. He wasn't an Advent socialist. But he wasn't, when he got the nomination, he wasn't Donald Trump. So when he ran for the presidency, he was one of the first presidents that I can remember who didn't have a core support group. Like when Barack Obama ran, he had a core network of supporters. They just loved what he said, loved what he meant. Joe Biden didn't have that. He was like the default candidate. He wasn't Bernie Sanders, and he wasn't Donald Trump. And he campaigned as a moderate. Now, I know I mentioned this many times. Victor Davis Hanson from the Hoover Institute stated that Biden made a Faustian bargain with the progressives. Everybody noticed that with all the riots going on up until the election, automatically stopped as soon as Joe Biden got elected. So what he said, that Faustian bargain was, you don't criticize us, but we'll get you elected. But once you get elected, you have to do our bidding. And you've noticed everything he does the bidding of the progressive left, the very socialistic left. Now, one of the things he's talking about doing is he extended the moratorium on student loan debt. Now, Donald Trump did it twice, but this was in the middle of the pandemic. Now, Joe Biden kind of says the pandemic is over, so he extended it again to August, I think, 31st or something. But now what they're floating, because his poll numbers among the young between 18 and 35 has cratered, they're talking about forgiving a certain amount of student loan debt.
So let me ask you a question about, so we have Ray. Ray went to Colorado to be a gunsmith. Did you use the GI Bill for that?
Yeah.
Okay.
I used the post 9/11 GI Bill.
So you use a post 9/11 GI Bill. Is he going to be entitled to any reimbursement of that if he has?
No.
Do you have any loans or any debt out there?
No.
lucky you.
The way it sounds, it looks like if you have federal student loan debt to a public university,
Okay.
you're eligible.
So
If
private doesn't count.
It sounds like if you went to a private university, you're SOL. And if your loan isn't backed by the federal government, you're SOL.
So what is that going to maybe spark the recession, or
Well, there's two school of thoughts. One school of thought said, and maybe they're both aligned with each other, said if they forgive student loan debt, he wants to do it up to $10,000, but he wants it through congressional action. The progressives under Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, and Ocasio-Cortez and others, they want him to forgive up to $50,000 of student loan debt. Now, one school of thought is that's going to just skyrocket inflation. And the other part of it is that's just going to balloon the debt because somebody's got to pay for that. I mean, when you take the student loan debt totally among the entire U.S. population, it's about 1.6 to almost $2 trillion. Well, it's not in a vacuum. Someone's paying. So what you're telling is anybody that didn't go to college or anybody that paid off their student loan debt, you're paying for somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
So that is going to have a detriment to the economy.
What am I going to get? I mean, I didn't go to school.
So you're paying off somebody else's student loan debt.
Do I get maybe like a $10,000 reprieve on
Nah,
something?
you
Maybe
get-
maybe they could take $10,000 off my car payment.
Nope, don't work like that. But
My
see,
mortgage?
But here's the other point, is if he forgives that student loan debt, I'm not so sure he has the constitutional authority to do that, because if he can forgive, let's just say up to $50,000 in student loan debt, what's to say a Republican president comes in, okay, you forgave something, we're going to forgive anybody that's got a federally financed mortgage or anything that's the federal government, we're going to forgive that.
Ooh, I have an FHP loan.
So, okay. Well, let's just go with veterans. If you have a VA home loan,
There we go.
we're gonna forgive your VA home loan.
Hallelujah, President DeSantis. Thank you
But-
very much.
Wait, hold on. Don't do that till I get a house.
There you go. but the point is, if you do that, it's somebody's paying for this.
Mm-hmm.
And what most people don't know.
Well, it's going to be our kids, so those suckers can pay for this
Oh,
debt,
yeah,
and
yeah.
Dad's going to go,
Okay, but here's what people don't know. The ones that want to forgive student loan debt, and that includes Joe Biden, all those progressives, they're the ones that caused that in the first place. Now, the reason I say that, what people don't know, and the media doesn't follow up on this, and I'm surprised for somebody who works 50, 60 hours a week, I found this out. When they passed the Affordable Care Act, a rider went with it. It was like, I think it's called the Student Affordability Act. And that passed 3 weeks later. And a rider is something that is attached to the main bill that is unrelated to that bill.
Mm-hmm.
So what they did is they nationalized student loans.
Yeah.
So they took it away from the banks. The federal government became the repository of all student loans. So the colleges were exempt. They weren't held to any standard. So the colleges say, well, let me see how this works. Students always want to go to school. Federal government will always loan them money. We're out of the kick, so we can raise our tuition as fast as we want and as much as we want.
Well, I think maybe a better way to avoid student loan debt is to not make college the benchmark for people to get good jobs around here. A doctor, I understand. A lawyer, I understand. But like your friend is going to be a nurse and she's going through a nursing school. She's not going going. But like I know that if you sent me to a class as the same person as another class, that I could probably, depending on the curriculum, it'd be even matched, and then I get a certificate saying, "Hey, Joe is now a teacher, or Joe is now an accountant because you know how to do math." I mean, teachers I can understand should have that college level kind of education. Doctors, lawyers, scientists,
I think you're on the right path. I would say just because this is my 10th year out of high school, so I'm a little closer to high school than you're a little out of high school a little bit longer.
Yeah.
It was definitely a different way of life, because when I announced that I was going to the Marine Corps in my high school, they kind of looked at me weird, like, "Oh, you're not going to college? Why not?" And that was like the path for everybody. Nobody knows what they want to do in life the second they graduate high school, but you're almost like kind of forced into going to college because that's what the high school wants you to do.
Mm-hmm.
So, then all of a sudden 18-year-old kids get racked up in a six-figure debt.
Yeah.
And they have no idea what they actually intended to go to college to study for.
I mean, even in my job right now, I can be close to making six figures, depending on how many hours I want to put in. But I have zero. I have honestly, I have about a week's worth of training, and then basically it's just kind of just like grinding it out. There's truck drivers in New York City that are making upwards to $150,000 a year, and all they're doing is tossing trash into a truck, and not taking down their job or anything like that. But, I remember, and you've faced this a couple of times too, you're probably a little bit different, but going to like a job fair. And I have all these qualifications, and I can go in with more qualifications than somebody else, but they're going to take them because they have a college education and I don't.
Well, but here's the other part. There's two phases to your original question. Everybody needs to go to college. My younger brother didn't go to college, and he's a superintendent for a construction company. He makes a high six-figure salary. He makes 4 times what I make. The other side of the coin is, which was never addressed when they passed the Affordable Care Act and that rider that went with it, that Student Affordability Act. Student loans were a problem then.
Yeah.
Once they passed both, and Bernie Sanders, Joe Biden, when he was the vice president, so he supported this, put it on steroids. And you look at the numbers, you look at the statistic. After 2010, the increase in student loan debt skyrocketed.
Yeah.
The other factor is you're not looking at these colleges and say, why are the administrative state on the colleges skyrocketed far higher than anything. We thought in healthcare costs went up. Nothing went as high as that administrative side in colleges. We got to stop gearing every job that you must have a college degree.
Mm-hmm.
Now, an example, I've always said vocational training. Now, Ray, you were a gunsmith. You can make a good living as a gunsmith.
Yes.
There are the building trades, plumbers, electricians, carpenters, welders, okay. But there also needs to be a secondary track when it comes to high technology. I have a friend of mine who's the owner of a cybersecurity company. I asked him when Russia hacked into, I think was the electrical grid in the United States last year. And I asked him, do you need a college degree to be a cybersecurity analyst or person? And he goes, no, the people that hacked in, they don't have college degrees or masters or PhDs. They just have the ability to hack. I also know somebody who owns a drone company. I go, do you need a college degree? He goes, no. As long as you have the certifications, the temperament, and the ability to do this job, we'll hire you.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got it. And I've talked to a local congressman, but it's like knocking on wood. These guys, and this was a Republican. They say what, oh yeah, I got it. That's a good idea, but they don't do anything with it.
Yeah, they don't.
And that's why our educational system is deficient. We spend close to $800 billion a year from the federal, state, and local level on education. But we're at the bottom of the pack.
Yeah.
We spend more than any industrialized country on education, and we're no further along. And that's why this whole revolt of the parents, because they're putting this wokeism into the schools. Like, I don't know if anybody remembers, Oregon took away all testing to graduate high school.
Sweet.
Because what they want to do is be more equitable.
Yeah.
California got rid of this SAT. That's the test to get you into how you perform academically to get into college. Well, because a lot of Hispanics and blacks weren't doing well. They've said that meritocracy, like San Francisco, meritocracy is racist. Well, if you study, you should be able to get into the school you don't. If you don't do that, you shouldn't get in. And instead of looking at why a lot of blacks and Hispanics aren't getting in, like San Francisco is the most progressive city in the country, 17% of African Americans can't do basic math or English to grade level.
Yep.
That's vindictive all across the country.
So I should be able to walk up to MIT and be like, "You're going to take me," and they can't say no because I'll be like, "Well, I guess you're ageist or you're racist or you're."
But instead of finding out why individuals aren't passing the test or getting in, we'll just end it like New York got rid of, under Mayor de Blasio, these high-performing schools because only Asians and whites were getting in. He says, well, it's not equitable because Hispanics and blacks or African Americans aren't getting in. Well, instead of asking the question, why aren't they getting in, we'll just end the program, send these kids back to the regular failing public schools.
Yep. All right, John, how can they get a hold of us?
Now, there's a couple ways. You can go to ubaldireports@gmail.com.
Have you checked that yet?
Yeah, I got to check it. There's ubaldireports@gmail.com. You can go to Twitter, or you can go to TikTok, which we're on right now. You can go to Facebook at Ubaldi Reports, Instagram at Ubaldi Reports, but also, most importantly, go to YouTube, hit like or subscribe, and what we're trying to do is boost it up so we can start really getting this ball rolling.
Yeah, because we have 8 viewers right now. We need some more.
We need a lot more. So go to YouTube, hit like and subscribe, because we do this every Wednesday at 7:30ish Eastern Standard Time. And once we really get this going, then we can do this full time. My ultimate goal is to do this every day and post it every single day so we can at least give you some factual information about global and international issues. And then if you have questions, send it through. And whether we agree with me or not, we can debate these issues so you and the listeners can make informed decisions of what's going to face their country.
All right. So everybody have a great day. Nothing really to say about live streaming except we're doing it. So catch us on live stream on Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, and get to see John's beautiful face on Twitch. So everybody have a great day, and we will talk to you soon.
And keep listening to Ubaldi Reports.